Hello, I'm Trudy, One Grounded Angel, and this is the weekly angel card reading for December the 12th to the 16th, 2016. It's Monday to Friday, and I do a Saturday and a Sunday card on my social media accounts, and I'll give you the details of that at the end. But starting to shuffle the cards for Monday, let's see what's going to come up, what we need to be aware of, what information we need to be thinking about, and what we need to bear in mind about when it comes to making decisions and going through our lives. Relationship. Wow, we're starting the week strong. So relationship, this card primarily comes up for people who've gone through a dark patch in their relationship or in their love life in general if you're single and you've had some really tough times with that. Bearing in mind that being single obviously doesn't always mean that there's going to be tough times, because it's always an opportunity to get to know yourself and to figure out what you actually want, which you don't really get a chance to do in a relationship. So, but it does symbolize here coming out of the dark woods and into the light. So it speaks to a light at the end of the tunnel. So whatever you've been going through, whether you've been in a conflict situation with your partner, whether you've been going from one bad relationship to the next, whatever it is you've been going through, this symbolises that it's going to come to an end and reach a better place with that. However, it's not like a magic wand. It's not like all of a sudden things are going to be perfect. It's up to you to really work on that. So I think I read somewhere that anything good that you want in your life is about 50% you and 50% the universe. So you have to meet the universe halfway. I know a lot of people dismiss horoscopes as being rubbish because they make certain predictions and then which don't come to pass. And the reason for that is that no one can accurately predict what's going to happen in your future, because you need to partially create that. And the universe responds to action. So when we start acting towards what we want, the universe sweeps in, and it's sort of an energetic pattern. So if you are single and you've been having a really difficult time with that in terms of you want to be with someone but you're attracting people who are not right for you, it's really up to you to make sure that you are doing the right things to attract the right person. Are you behaving like someone who people want to be with, or are you acting like you're needy and desperate? Are you doing enough to be a full, complete person in your own right, or are you looking for someone to complete you, for example? Or if you're in a relationship and things are not going so well, are you creating drama where there is no drama? Are you unhappy in the relationship, so you're creating problems there instead of ending it if you need to? So it's really up to... Yeah, so it's a card that speaks to hope and to positive beginnings, but invites you to do what you can to co-create that. So what is it that's happening in your love life that needs not fixing, but needs some sort of action from you? So there's a lot to think about with that. And if you're single, I don't want to make it sound like it's your fault, because being single is sometimes that's just the right thing for you to be at that point in your life for the growing and the learning you need to do. I was single for a very long time before I was in the relationship that I'm in now. And some of that time I was very happy being single, and other times I was not. So I'm not trying to make any sort of judgment there about what you need to do. If you're perfectly happy being single, then that's fine. Keep doing that. If you are perfectly happy in your relationship, then you probably don't need to pay too much attention to this card either. But I think it's for all of us, it's an opportunity to think about the relationship with ourselves. So the first line of this card is your primary relationship is with yourself and God, or substitute the universe if you're more comfortable with that. And every other relationship follows from there. So what it's really reminding us is that our relationships with other people who are, our primary relationships, are a reflection of the relationship we have with ourselves. So if you do attract men who, for example, are in other relationships, why is that? Is that because you don't believe that you're worthy of a relationship and someone who can be 100% with you in a healthy way, or what's going on? Is your self-worth really low, so you're with someone who puts you down because that's what you believe you deserve? Those are obviously quite extreme examples, and I don't think they're going to relate to every single person watching this, but I'm giving you an example of how the things that we believe about ourselves affect what we attract and the sort of relationships that we get into. So really to attract a healthy relationship and sustain a healthy relationship, because the relationships that we're in now, to keep them going, they need to keep growing. They can't stagnate. It's not healthy. So to keep them going, we need to be thinking about how can we make this more healthy. So there's always an opportunity for growth for ourselves and for each other when it comes to thinking about relationships. So looking at Tuesday, the 13th of December, Emotions. Saint Dymphna is on this card, and she is apparently the patron saint of mental health organisations in the US, I believe. Don't quote me on that. But anyway, what this is about, she's holding a torch. So again, we're talking about light perhaps at the end of the tunnel, although perhaps I'm being a little bit too, making too much of a sweeping statement there. But really it's about making sure we have some balance in our emotions. When I'm doing Reiki on someone and I feel their sacral chakra, which is the second chakra from the bottom, when I feel an imbalance there, when I'm pouring good energy into that, what I'm saying, because I use affirmations, is all of your emotions are now perfectly in balance, because there's a lot of focus on happiness and the pursuit of happiness and how that's what we need to be aiming for and living in a state of happiness. And the reality is that that's just not sustainable. You cannot be happy all the time, and nor should you. There's something going on there. If you are something not quite healthy, perhaps you're in denial about something, because there is a full spectrum of human emotions and we need to be exposed to all of them, not all at once, ideally. So what this means is about there are times you are going to be sad, you are going to be angry, you are going to be afraid, and all those what we consider negative emotions are actually an opportunity for growth again. So where can we learn the lesson in there? If that's what's going on for you, where is there a lesson here, particularly if it's repeated? Because the universe keeps sending us the same things until we learn the lesson. So if you keep finding yourself in jobs that are not satisfying you, is there a lesson there that you need to back yourself and go after jobs that you actually want? That's just an example, but I've gone off track again. How predictable. This is about emotions, and it's asking us to try and get some balance in our emotions and to make peace with the fact that if you are having what we call a negative emotion, and I've just explained why I don't think that I would never label any emotion as negative, but to try and see that as a temporary thing. This too shall pass. It's one of my favourite sayings. So be at peace with your emotions. Strive for emotional balance if you can, but realise that may not necessarily be achievable. But yeah, for those of you who are really struggling at the moment, my heart goes out to you, because this card in a personal reading will come up for those sorts of people, and it's really an opportunity for me to put some positive energy into them in a Reiki energetic healing scenario. So let me just tune in and see if there's anything else that we need to know with this card. No, it's really just offering comfort to those who are struggling with their emotions at the moment, and please to know that they are temporary, unless, as I said earlier, it's a repetitive theme, in which case it's an opportunity for you to step up and make some changes. So Wednesday now, whoa, I don't know if you saw that, but a card just jumped right off the top, and they're saying it's definitely the card we need for Wednesday the 14th. Workshops and seminars. Now this is one of those very specific cards that I struggle with in this sort of YouTube reading, because it's going to mean so many different things to so many different people. But let me just give you some of the meanings. For some of you, it's about looking to, in your career, to do some public speaking, some seminars, some teachings. It's reminding you, no matter what work you're doing, or even if you're retired, that you have a wealth of knowledge within you in your life experience, and that you can use that to help people. So for example, what I'm doing now is kind of within that. I'm using what I've learned and my ability to tune in to help you guys. I'm not necessarily doing the teaching, because I'm just passing on the messages, but you are learning kind of through me. So for some of you, you who've been thinking about teaching, this is absolutely your go ahead card, and do it. And for some of you, you need to be going along to some workshops and seminars. Now, in my part of the world, in Australia, it's the end of the year, things are starting to wind up. I know in the Northern Hemisphere, you tend to keep going through this time, and sort of you close down a bit for summer in the middle of the year. But for us, I don't know that there are going to be a lot of workshops and seminars around at this time of the year. But this is an opportunity for you to keep a lookout for them in the new year. And if there's something that you've been thinking about learning in the new year, start looking into it now, because this is telling you it's a really good idea for you. So remembering, and I've said this many, many times, we are all students, we're all here to learn. It doesn't matter what you're learning, as long as you're keeping your brain active, and there are life lessons within that, whatever the material as well. So Thursday now, the 15th, And here I go again for my awkward shuffling. Okay, good job of this. Oh well, at least it didn't take me too long this time. Strength, woohoo. Now, when we think about strength, we often think of like a brute force or a physical strength type thing, but this is more about an emotional strength, and it talks about the strength that comes from kindness and compassion. So it's all about taking the high ground instead of biting back at someone who's attacking you, or to when you've got an opportunity to get away with something that's not quite legit. This is asking you to have the strength of character to resist that and to do what's actually right. So it's sort of a moral kind of message here, and it reminds you that when you exercise that sort of strength, you grow in strength and you are better armed for future situations. So it reminds us really to tune in to what's going on inside and say, when we're making decisions or when we're just acting in general, and say, is this actually the right thing? And not in a kind of a motherly, is this the right thing to do type of way, but in a sort of way, is this being true to my integrity? Am I honouring my values? Am I doing what I set out to do? Is this helping me, or is it keeping me stuck? Is it keeping me in a pattern that makes me miserable? So that's a pretty simple message, and I guess one that underlies so many of the messages that come up in these readings, and certainly in personal readings that I do for people. Often when people come to me for a client reading, they've got a specific scenario in mind, and I'll speak to that, of course, but a lot of what it is confirming things that they already know, things they already know they need to do, but they're just a little bit too scared to step forward into, or they're perhaps just influenced by other people and worried about hurting other people. Anyway, that's another tangent. And here we are, speaking about strength of character and virtue, and virtue is probably not the right word, but integrity certainly, and values. This card's very appropriate. It's Mary Magdalene, unconditional love, and it's again about the grace of kindness and generosity of spirit, and all those really beautiful messages that come through so strongly in these cards. And it's about seeing through the veneer, particularly in regards to our dealings with other people. So in other words, not labelling people, easy said than done, I know, and not being too limiting in what we expect from other people. So for some of you, this is about forgiveness, forgiving other people. And this is, heading into the holiday season, a time when tensions and those sort of conflicts really come to the fore. We're going to be dealing with family, and nobody pushes our buttons like family does. We know that. So making sure that we can rise above that and not falling into old patterns of biting at people or snapping at them and letting them really erode our confidence. So some forgiveness. And when we talk about forgiveness, we're not talking about saying it's okay if something wrong has happened, but making sure that we can let go of our old resentment. So it's really, unconditional love says it all, really. We see people as all acting from the heart, and as essentially good people who occasionally make bad choices and don't always treat people fairly, but try not to hold that against them. Obviously being smart and not letting people take advantage of us, but also making sure that we don't write people off. So looking back at the week, or forward, so to speak, at the week, I don't know what we've got in terms of themes here, but certainly it feels like we're being challenged to do the right thing. And when I say the right thing, again, I'm not talking about any sort of biblical right thing or anything like that, or parental kind of norms. I'm talking about the right thing for you, looking inside your heart and saying, is this right for me, before you act. And so we've got relationships, again, what I said about what is right for me and what is right for each other. And that shouldn't mean denying yourself the chance to be happy. So if you're not happy in your relationship, it's time to really be thinking about that. But if things have not been going well, is there an opportunity for you to, what can you do to try and improve that situation? Because this does speak to coming into the light and a new kind of beginning for your love life, whatever state it might be. So emotions, we've got looking for emotional balance and being at peace with that kind of pendulum that may be going on with your emotions right now, and being gentle with yourself. It's so important. Don't judge yourself if you're feeling whatever you're feeling. Basically, just be at peace with that. Unless, of course, you're being overly negative and continue to be so over a long period, that's when you need to lift yourself up, because if you stay like that for too long, the universe is going to respond to that by sending you negative energy, and you'll just find your things start going badly for you within your life. So workshops and seminars, we've got strength of character and heart. I also love, just on that, there's a lion on this card. I know I don't always speak about the imagery, but I do if I'm being told it's significant. The lion, in the Wizard of Oz, the lion is about courage. But so we do know that there's symbolism there, but we also, this is talking about strength of heart. So, which in the Wizard of Oz, was it the Tin Man that wanted the heart? I don't remember, sorry, hazy on that. But so that speaks to what we want. We want to be brave, and we want to come from the heart, to be acting from the heart instead of from fear, and that just keeps us isolated and behind our barriers. Unconditional love, which I've spoken about, trying to see people as acting from a place of love, even when they are giving you all sorts of evidence that they are not in fact acting with love. And there are all sorts of reasons that people do that, and it's not ideal, and we need to just let them do what they need to do, and just try and stay away from it if it's going to pull us down. So what a week. I don't really know what conclusions to draw, except that we're dealing with, there's a lot about emotional stuff going on here. So and that could be part of the Christmas build-up, or it could just be life. Thank you so much for watching. I'll be putting these on my social media. My Instagram is @OneGroundedAngel, and that's one as an ONE, spout out. My Facebook page is One Grounded Angel, and I post each card and give more of an explanation, and it just helps, because by the time you've watched this now, but by the time you see each card for each day, things in your life will have changed slightly, and they may have taken on a different meaning. But what you see now is also still valuable, even though Thursday, Friday, obviously we're not there yet, because it starts a chain in your mind of thinking about the things that you need to be thinking about, and that is why you were guided to watch this video at this time. Thank you so much. I will be back next week to read for you again. I wish you all the best. Have a fantastic week.